catch up for the next workshop.
Great idea. I'll do
Letting
that
people
now.
know we are recording this, so obviously if you don't want to be seen, you don't need to put your camera on. But we're just recording it for the purposes of people on this course, so you can remind yourself later. And if you go on a further workshop, this is a reminder of what you covered before. And we've got more people joining us. My name's Paul Levy. We've got Richard Foster Fletcher from MKAI. Rupa Singh is here, ready to get everybody from beginner to somewhere else slowly. But we're starting here, and we're starting probably in a couple of minutes to be on time.
Yeah, running for 90 minutes today. So whatever the time is for you now, it's 3 p.m. in the UK. Sun's out, but it's just starting to cool down again. And but we'll record this session. We've got, in fact, I'll mention this now. So we've got this group that we've set up on LinkedIn. I'll pull the URL up as we're doing this. And this is a way for us to stay connected, talk about, any challenges or areas that, we might need a little bit of help with as we take on this journey, which could just be one little taster workshop today. Could be that you come and spend February and March workshops with us as well. And also this group will certify completion if you do that, so that we can give you a nice certificate and you can brag about it on LinkedIn and these kind of things, which is always nice to do, some reward for your effort. So I'm going to put that group up, and so come on into that group there, and that will allow us to kind of work with you a little bit more on this.
And Richard, you might want to put that a couple of times if you're putting that in the chat, simply because people that join now won't have seen the chat that went before.
Yeah, really good point. So I'm just going to pull up the right group. There it is here. We've already got 16 of us in the group there, so you'll be in good company. Oh, wow, we jumped to 22 people. So that's the link there. So if you're not a member of that already, I'll put it up a few times, but come on into that. It's just a place for us to be together, take any questions that you have, and then we'll use that afterwards. There'll be a little bit of a form to fill in, just talking about your learning journey a little bit, and then someone muted me.
I tried to admit somebody and it moved up.
So go ahead, join that group. I'll put it up again now. Hey, Karen. Just join that group. Honestly, we're just going to be hanging out there talking about this, and then we'll show you how you can complete the course that MKAI is hosting via the UK government for these sessions as we learn and introduce ourselves to Python. And then hopefully Rupa will talk about some journeys that she has as well, some courses that you can go ahead and learn about with her as well. So you're in great company today. Paul, Rupa, do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if Paul, if you want to say anything as well.
Just that I think we've got probably, how many have we got in the room now? We're doing pretty well, but I think we've got a few more to join. And so I think to respect everybody's time, we're at 3:02 here. I'm in Brighton in the UK. I'm Paul Levy, and I'm part of the MKAI team and around the design of workshops, a bit of the facilitation, but I'm going to hand over to Richard, who's going to introduce the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll just set the scene here. We've still got people joining, and that's wonderful. I've just hold back on this message about the group there another time, just to let a few more people see it, but I'll post it there. So basically, absolutely honored and delighted to bring this to you. Wow, still people arriving. We have received some UK government funding to put on a program of events. So that's the thing about these events. They're not free events, right? They're prepaid events by the UK government. So that means we got nothing to sell you, right? We got no marketing. Now, Rupert's got an amazing course that you can join on to, but that's another gift. That's not, so you're not here to be sold to. You're here because the UK government wants to invest in skills development like this. And because we're a global community, wow, great. What a great chance to share that with our friends all over the world as well. So we brought in Rupa and Arpit today. They're two of our colleagues in the industry. They'll give you their short intros in a minute, but terrific talent. This is the absolute beginner's session. So you can join barely knowing what a computer is if you want, or you can know a little, and we're going to take it at a really nice pace that we're all, going to learn together from. I'll be around, Paul will be around to kind of do lots of checking in with you. Sharisha's got a camera on. That's great. Love to see your faces. Love to see where you're at and so on. If you'd like to, no pressure to, but be fantastic to see some people with your cameras on. Hey, there we go. A few more, because we're just learning together, right? Safe space, great environment, no experts here, right? Just a bunch of people who just want to learn a bit more together, rise up with each other, support one another. And that's what this is all about. And so it's a great pleasure to be here, hanging out with you, first of all, spending some time with you. It's great privilege and a great joy. And yeah, 33, 35 of us. This is a wonderful group today. Rupert, tell us a little bit about yourself. Would you set the scene on you, if you would?
Sure. Thank you, Richard, first of all, for organizing this event. And yeah, and it's very important to learn Python in this today's era, where we are completely surrounded by technology, and Python plays a very important role in the technological advancements. And first of all, I would like to welcome all of you. I can see a lot of amazing people, and some people I've already known. Welcome Mohammed and Karen, and welcome Merlos Slav. I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong.
Who's been here before? Let's just put your virtual hand up or something like that, or just say in the chat, who has spent time with Rupert and MKAI before and learning this stuff. I know there's 2 or 3. And anybody else? I got a couple of thumbs up there. Cool.
Great.
We love friends, old and new. Rupert, back with you.
Thank you. So I would just like to know about your experience with Python, if you are completely new to Python, or you have some experience. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how much would you rate yourself in knowledge on Python? So, okay, Mohammed says 1. Ms. Sulab says 1. Okay, -3. Richard, okay. I think you should be at 4 or 5, Richard.
I know.
Abiola wins the prize of putting the first 0.
And someone,
Amazing.
Nayara is also with me. We're both on -3 together.
Amazing. And I would also request all of you to join this workshop with your laptop or desktop, so that you can benefit from this workshops. And we are going to do lots of hands-on sessions, lots of hands-on practice. So if you have logged in from your mobile, so I would request you to log in from your desktop, so that we'll be doing practice as and when we are learning. We are also going to practice.
And so just to flag up here, so the style of the workshop, Rupert's very friendly, Rupert's very informal. This is an interactive workshop. The best way with such a large group for you to communicate with us would be at the bottom of the screen. It opens up some options. On the right-hand side, it says reactions, and there's a way for you to raise your hand if you haven't done that before. We will sometimes maybe invite you to put your microphone on, particularly if you have questions. We'll have comments, there'll be activities to do perhaps where we feedback. But fundamentally, this is a really well-intentioned, skillful workshop from Rupert on getting you started with Python. And there are obviously a couple more workshops in this series. So this won't all happen in the first workshop, and this will build and build. And you'll notice advertised also is an intermediate series of workshops too. Now, we're not assuming at the end of this very short workshop series that you're going to necessarily be intermediate. So there is follow-up that Rupert will talk about. There are ways for you to continue your study. And if you feel you've got to an intermediate level by the workshops that are coming up in a month or so, then you might want to sign up for those as well. But what you've really got here is a journey, as Richard talked about. And it's possible just to show up to the workshops, but if you show up to all 3 and you're prepared to write a kind of reflection afterwards, it's possible to get a certificate of attendance. The key thing about how we learn here is obviously we want everybody to understand, and so please communicate with us. If you want to say slow down, put that in the chat, or can you go over that again? We will try to cater for everybody. This is being recorded as well, so you can kind of catch up a bit later. As Rupert said, no one's going to have to download anything, but the minimum spec is a laptop, because we're actually going to go on a URL and you're going to be able to do some Python coding very easily without needing to download something. So we hope you enjoy this, but the success of this will be as much about you communicating with us as possible via the chat and letting us know when we're going too fast, too slow, and so on. And I have heard the expression that, you know, getting people to type in, some people to type in the chat is like trying to get a shy bear to come out of the forest. But zero communication is difficult for where we're all trying to learn something like this. But as Rupert said when we were designing this, it's really possible to learn Python. It's such a gift, even if you don't go on to become a programmer and so a coder. So I'm here in the background to help, to make sure that the interaction's working, but please keep those communication channels. Please enjoy. Please stay till the very end, because you're going to get some important information about how you can continue this learning between now and the next workshop. But Rupert, it's over to you. And yeah, I'm scared.
Maybe we take that question first from Corinda. Oh, he's had his hand up for a while.
Go for it, Corinda.
Just get you to unmute.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Please
Yeah,
unmute.
go ahead and unmute. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Ian. No, I used some coding before, and I got a certificate, but I need an updated one. So, want to be able to help me? I need an updated certificate for Python.
Did you score yourselves at 0, Corinda, in terms of your ability?
No, I think I saw myself saying 4.
4. I mean,
Yeah.
what you might find is that the first workshop, the first part will just be a reminder for you. But obviously there are 3 workshops, and we're going to hopefully go beyond, you know, just beginner. But it may well be that you'll find there's stuff you already know at the start. But, you know, we're going to get to a place where you'll start learning some new stuff. So I guess you could make that decision about, if you start seeing the early stuff, the stuff you already know, you might want to sit back.
I did mine in 2020, and I need an updated version.
Okay, well, I think you're going to get the updated version here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Corinda. Any other questions, please put them in the chat, but I'm going to hand over to Rupert to begin this workshop.
Okay. So shall we share, shall I share my screen? And
Please
if you're
do.
good to go, okay, great. So let me share my screen, and we'll just take 5 minutes to explain why Python is important, and what can we do with Python, okay, and what are the industries that are using Python. So if you have any idea about that, what are the industries which are using Python? So can you type in the chat window? Any idea, anybody? Which are the industries are using Python? Okay.
So we've got AI, we've got design software, data science. Oh, retail is there as well. Got lots of other answers too. So there's a range there, but design software is another one. Finance.
Yeah, awesome. So all your favorite companies, all your favorite applications, they're using Python, such as you know, Instagram, Facebook, Google, Netflix, Amazon. Everybody is using Python, and also used by NASA.
Don't
I
worry,
think
I'm
while
sure
we're
she'll be
waiting
back.
for
Yeah.
Rupert, you just a bit of a slow connection there. I'm just noting we've got NASA on there as well, Richard.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I can say from experience, Python's now being used in the health service, in medical diagnosis. It's being used in sport and the development of sport apps as well. It's being used in education, and it's being used in politics. But I'm not quite sure how, but it's something we're all very interested in here over in the UK at the moment, of course.
Yes.
Just waiting for
yeah, welcome new joiners. Should be
in.
right back with. I'm going to pop that link up again just for those. Yeah, that's just going to pop that group up again for those who've just arrived. While Rupert
just while you're doing that, I was interested to notice I work at 3 different universities, amongst other things, and I've noticed now, of course, we've been teaching Python in universities for a while, but actually now some of our students are working on projects with very small businesses about creating chatbots, about doing customer kind of engagement using very simple Python programming. It's not that complicated, and this is reaching right down onto the high street now in retail, as somebody mentioned. We've also got, Alexandra's mentioned gaming, of course. We've got Python there as well. So quite a lot of stuff around there. I mean, you've got members of MKAI, Richard. Has there been a change in membership in terms of interest in AI over the last year?
Oh, for sure, yeah, and interest as well in the ethical side of it very much as well. I mean, one stat I've noticed, we host events obviously, and we put them on LinkedIn. I mean, if you go back just a year ago, we were probably getting maybe 30 to 40% opt out in terms of people that didn't want us to store their data. Now, 90%, I would say. So there's a real increase in awareness about the power of these tools and the risks of these tools. So very, very topical. We keep a balance of data scientists and enthusiasts in our main group. So it's fascinating to explore these topics. Rupa.
We've got Rupa's back.
Yes. Am I audible? I'm sorry for the back. Okay. So please let me share my screen. And please confirm if you can see my screen.
Loading.
Screen.
Yeah, we got it now. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Python is an open source and it's a high level language. And so it has object oriented and structural and functional programming. So we're not getting into details of this definition, but Python is very easy to code and it is easy to maintain. It is portable, and this is the guy who created Python, which is Guido van Rossum in 1990s. So if you might be wondering why this is called as Python, the name of the snake. So anybody is thinking that in their mind that why Python is a snake name? Why Python is called as Python? Any idea? Okay, great. So Python is, how did Python got its name? Because Guido van Rossum was a great fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. It's a comedy series. And after watching this Monty Python's comedy series, he named it as Python. So this is how Python got named. You might be wondering, why should I learn Python? So Python is most popular among software engineers, mathematicians, scientists, data analysts, and accountants, and artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers. As well as Python, what are the advantages of Python? These are open source, high level language, easy and short syntax, portable language, and it can be used in any operating system such as Windows, Linux, or Mac. You can use Python in any of these. And these are trusted, Python is trusted by big brands such as Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and you name it, and they're using Python. Okay, and it has low maintenance cost and a great community support. Okay, and Python is like a Swiss Army knife. It has great packages. In data analysis, they use NumPy and Pandas. In machine learning, they use scikit-learn, SciPy, and these are the different libraries that Python provides. And that's why Python is very popular. And what are the properties of Python? It is easy to learn, it's simple, user-friendly, easy to debug, and it is used for any operating, it is used on any operating systems. So these are the popular applications with Python, as you can see. And they have application in banking industries as well as manufacturing industry, used in artificial intelligence and for scientists in NASA, as well as, so now what are the softwares needed to learn and practice? So this is Google Collaboratory. We are going to learn on this Google Collaboratory, and the another ones are Jupyter Lab, Thorny, and PyCharm. So these are Jupyter Lab, you need to install Python. For Anaconda installation you need to do. So we are not going to install Python, so that we are not going to install Anaconda, so that you're not getting confused about it. And we will start with Google Colab, and you can just have an access. If you have an access to internet, you can start working in Python. All right. So if you have I'm sure everybody has a Gmail account. So now, are you all excited to start working on Python? Please type in the chat window if you're excited, and we are going to tell you how to use Python. Okay, awesome.
So just to be clear, Rupa, what we're saying here is you can download a program to be able to program in Python, but you're giving us access to a way that's good for learning, which is this lab thing. But people need to have a working Gmail account now to proceed. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So there are many ways where you can use Python. You need either you can install the software, or which is Anaconda software installation, and that requires time and it is a little bit complicated. So maybe later we can learn how to install that. But for now, we can just get started with Google Colab. All right. Amazing. So let's start with Google Colab and let the magic begins. Okay. So please log into go to your Google search. So let me go to my Google search engine. Okay.
I'm just checking in, Rupert, just to make sure everybody on here does have a Gmail account or needs to get one. Otherwise, someone's going to be left behind. So just checking in that everybody's able to access with a Gmail account or is able to get one. If you're having problems with that, can you just let us know?
Sure.
Yeah. It's an interesting assumption that everyone's got a Gmail account. I know that may not be true for everyone. So just being clear here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, getting lots of yeses. Just apologies for anyone that hasn't, but it shouldn't take you long just to create one just for the purpose of this session that you could delete afterwards. You just go to Google, sign up for Gmail. I say if you're not happy to have a Gmail account, you can always delete it after. Okay, let's move on, Rupa.
Okay, so if you are at your Google and then just type in Google Colab, just search Google Colab. As you can see my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen. So please type in Google Colab in your system. And so once I enter this, I get this Google Colab. The first search or maybe second search you might see in your window, on your window. Okay, and just click on this Google Colab. All right. Great. Awesome, calendar. Okay, great. So now this is the Google Collab I get. And here I have already logged in from my Gmail. So please log into your Gmail, and then here you get this new notebook. Since I've been working on Google Collab, I have already existing files. So you might have these existing files since you're using it for the first time. So click on new notebook, as you can see here in blue. Okay, and here I click. Which shall I click on? Please let me know if you are able to find this out.
So question in the chat, are people clicking on new notebook?
Yes, new notebook. You need to click on new notebook. Okay, so that you get this entire new notebook, and here we can start coding in Python. So
Okay,
this
so
is
just hold for a sec, just checking everybody here is with us. If you're not, it's really okay to say not. We need everybody on board from the start. This is like the master key that opens the door. So if you're having trouble, we've got Mohammed saying no. Not yet, not yet. So we just need to slow a bit.
sure. Okay.
So just can you let us know in the chat what's not working for you?
Okay, yes, Mohammed, please let us know what is not working. Can you start from the beginning? Okay. Okay. Just can you see this? I just tried to search Google Collab here. As you can see, I'll just send it in the chat window. Okay, just search it. And then here you find Google Collab in your search, and click on this. So once you click on this, maybe it will ask you to log in, and you need to log in through your Gmail account. Use your Gmail email ID and the password, Gmail password, and you will get this page.
And if you're logged in correctly, you'll see in the top right-hand corner of Rupa's browser, there's a green R. That's her Google Mail, Gmail identity showing that's her. She chose R, and that shows that she's signed in.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so are we everybody on the same page? Please. Okay, awesome. Okay, so now we click here, new notebook. As you can see here at the down, you can see here in the blue, new notebook. And once we click on that, we get this page. All right, we are good to go. And now here we see just first option here, we have file. Just see all the list of file, all the now we have new notebook, open notebook, or upload, rename. So we are going to go to rename and rename this file. And don't delete this .ipynb. Just delete this untitled 24. And maybe you can write Python workshop 1. Okay, and I name it as Python workshop 1. So my Python notebook has been renamed as Python workshop 1. So everybody, okay, are we good to go?
Yeah, I think we're going to assume now we're good to go unless somebody says we're not. So just let us know if you're having real problems. Otherwise, just keep going, Rupa.
So if anybody is Arpit, please assist them if anybody is facing or getting stuck at some point of time.
Yeah, and you can always message me in the bottom right-hand corner where the chat is. Just choose Paul Levy, and let's see if I can help you in the background.
Sure. So now we are going to write down the first Python code, okay? And the first Python code, the very famous Python code is hello world. And what we need to do is, as you can see this icon and click on this, and it will give you as hello Python. And why we have written it in single quotes, because this is a string, these are characters, and Python, when you're writing a string in Python, then it is always under a single quote or a double quote. So as you can see here, we get hello world within single quotes. That means it is a string. Okay, so now just shift enter, or sorry. Now, if you press on code, you will get a new cell where you can write down another Python code. So let's check how Python works with numbers or integers. So
I'll just
if you're
have a
writing
request.
8 plus,
Just to go a little bit slow, can you just,
okay.
as it's just the beginning, show us that once again, what you just did with Hello World, just before we go ahead.
Okay, sure. So you write down hello world and you put it under single quote or double quotes. Okay, since it is a string, it is a character. So we write it within single quotes or double quotes, and then click on this icon. As you can see, this arrow icon, click on this and you will get the output as hello world, which is in the string format.
Because that icon looks to me, looks to me like it looks like a play button, that arrow. So because it activates something, it makes something happen.
Yes, it runs the code. If you click on this, it runs your code. All right.
Yeah.
So now this is the output that we get. So now how Python works with string, here we have 8 plus maybe 7. And if you click on this run cell, we get as 15. So with Python, it's so easy to code. You just need to have a basic English and basic mathematics knowledge, and you're good to go. You can easily work with Python, and it's easy, it's fun to work with Python. Okay,
just so I'm really clear, I'm playing the real beginner here on 0. So you've just shown us 2 things that we can do. Both are like things that can be activated. One is that we can get Python to generate words, like a sentence or something, as long as it's in those quotes. And when we press that play, it activates it, we see it happen. The second thing, it seems to have an inbuilt calculation function. So I assume you've done 8 plus 7, but we could do 8 minus 7 or 8 times 7. Could we do something like 8 plus 7 minus 2? Can we do complicated calculating?
Yes, we're going to go step by step. So these are the first few things that I wanted to address. So definitely we are going to go step by step.
Thank you.
Okay. So Python is like, okay, how many of you have pets in your house? Please type in the chat window if you have pets in the house, as me. Okay, Carinder, awesome. I have 2, okay. Okay, Paul. And who else? Okay, nobody else has pet. Okay, so you might have observed like, so Python is like, dog. As a dog just understands few words like eat, go, come, and stuffs like that. So similarly, Python also understands very specific words. And if you talk to your dog about the weather, that, okay, the weather is really nice and, we are having fun or something, so the dog will not understand. Similarly, Python has some specific words which are called keywords, and it only understands those words. And if you give different words, then the Python will throw an error. All right, so let's see what are keywords and how we can get the list of keywords. So keywords are the building blocks of Python, and it builds the vocabulary of Python. So let me show you, just let me share my screen once again. Please confirm if you can see this flow chart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've got
see
that.
this mind map. Okay, great. So these are the identifiers that we're going to look at in today's workshop. And then we have variables. And what are variables? What are different data types? We have integers, float, string, complex numbers, list, and tuples. And then we have different operators. Okay, and we have arithmetic operators and assignment operator, comparison operator, and then keywords. Here we have keywords which are reserved words and cannot be used as identifiers, functions, or constants, and then commons. So let's see how we can get the list of keywords. Okay.
So just to be clear, you're just giving us an overview now. Nobody has to worry. We're not explaining all of these now. It's just giving you a kind of helicopter view of the language.
Exactly. So now how do we get keywords? As we understand that keywords are the building blocks of Python, it has specific meanings. So first, let's import keywords. Please write down import keyword and then shift enter or click on this icon.
Sorry, just so I'm not confused again, you just said shift enter. Slow down. What do you need to explain each of those so we're not lost?
Yeah, either you can shift enter or you can just press this run cell.
Okay,
right,
so,
it's
so
one
there are
and the same.
two ways of running. One is pressing the run sign. The other one is hold down shift and enter at the same time? Or how do you do that?
Just shift and enter. Yes, first shift and then enter.
Okay, so people can try that. In fact, you can try everything you've learned so far.
Yeah.
But okay, and what does import mean?
We are calling this, keywords from Python. So it's like, getting out all these the stored things in the Python. So we are just calling it. So yeah. So before we use these keywords, we need to import from the Python libraries.
Keyboard. So I'll put import keyboard and taking that error.
Sorry. Okay, so now we get this keywords as list of keywords. If you write down keyword.kw list, so we get all these keywords and we have 33 keywords. All right.
So just to be clear, you're just showing us again, these can all be explained. These are things in Python that when you use them can make things happen.
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, so these keywords are different. They have different specific meanings. And so it cannot be used for creating a name, creating a variable name, or function name, and these are reserved words which has specific task to do. Okay, so we are not getting into details of it, but yes, to understand what are the different vocabularies, what are the keywords, it's
Wait,
important to
no, I missed
understand.
that bit.
And we, okay, can you slow down? I missed that bit. Okay, sure. So please confirm if you are able to get the list of keywords. Just import keyword and type in keyword.kw list, and let me give you in the chat window. So that you can run this piece of code in your, okay, awesome, great. So we have these 33.
I'm just noticing, Rupert, just to help making it understandable too, when I was younger and I used to play games on computers, I used to play like text adventure games. It would also tell you, these are the words I understand. Don't try to use any other words or I'll give you an error. So this is really helpful because you're revealing here the language of Python in terms of the keywords.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly, Paul. So we are not getting into details of it because there are, you need to learn more. First, we need to learn basics, and then we can go ahead with using all these keywords. Okay. So let's understand variables. And before we understand variable, we have something called identifiers. Okay, so now why do I write this hash sign? So if you write this hash sign, then Python interpreter does not recognize it as a piece of code, and it will not throw it as, it will not throw the error. Okay, it will just be considered as a statement. Okay, so once, and it is used as comment to give comment. So I write the hash code, and let's create identifiers. Okay, so identifiers are the names used for creating variable names and for function names, class name, and any object name. So in Python, we have certain rules to create the name of the variable. So if you create variable name as 123, it's going to throw an error. Okay, so like we have our names, like my name is Rupa, your name is Paul, and we have Carinder, Richard. So if I write the name as, $, hash sign, so definitely we are not able, it will be a misinterpretation, and we do not assign our name starting with a $, or starting with a hash or any special characters, right? Or we do not assign our names as 1, 2, 3. So similarly, in Python, we have certain rules to create names. So these are suggested by identifiers. And what are the rules? So the first rule is you need to have, it can contain A to Z in capital letter or uppercase or lowercase. It can contain lowercase. It can start with okay, starts with uppercase A to Z or lowercase A to Z or an underscore. The second rule is it can contain
Wait, Rupert, can you
A
slow
to
down for me?
Z.
I feel like in the top one. Yeah, I need to slow down for a minute.
I'm sorry, could you please type in character?
Just having a little bit of trouble understanding Corinda, so I don't know if it's easier to type it at the moment. It's the quality of sound isn't good either on this here. I'm just wondering again to slow down because several people mentioned in the chat just to slow down a little bit. So go back to just create identifiers. Could an identifier be customer or supplier? Could that be an identifier?
Yes, that's a name, which is if you have a customer name that can be, in Python, we have variables, we have, okay, create
I've got that. Don't mention
identifiers.
variables. Yeah, let's just slow right down. So an identifier could be someone's name. It could be like customer or supplier. If I was in a game, it could be player 1, player 2, player 3. You know, if I was running in retail, it could be a product name. So we've got an identifier identifies something that has an identity.
No, actually, we use variables and class and functions and objects in Python. Okay, so we need to define the name of a variable. All right. So the way you have your name, and then you have your age, maybe so Paul or calendar. So you have your age, you have your education, maybe your organization name. So all these can come under your name as calendar or Paul. Okay. So by identifier is used for that. So let's not complicate it, let's keep it very simple, and just follow this rules to create identifier names, and we are going to discuss this as and when we are creating names, so you will understand that. All right, so let's just focus on the rules of creating identifiers. Okay, so it starts with A to Z, uppercase or lowercase or an underscore, and it can contain A to Z, lowercase, uppercase, and 0 to 9 digits, or also an underscore. Okay, but it cannot start with digits. If you start the name of identifier, if you start the variable names with a digit, it will throw an error, and we are going to see that. And the third rule is any keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Okay, so and then go to the new code, and let's see how to create an identifier. Okay.
Just so we're clear, what you just showed us, Rupert, in the green, that all of that you put the hashtag, that's not coding. That was you just giving us some notes. But
comment. The comments.
It's a comment. So it's not code. It's just you can show us some stuff there, and it's not confused as code.
Yes. Okay. So if we use hash, that means we are not using it as a code, we are just using it as a comment to know us that to let so that it's easy for us to understand what we are doing with this piece of.
Okay, that's very good.
It's also easy for understand us as well as for our peers or to anybody who is looking into your code. So just
to mention, so if anyone's a bit lost after the workshop, you could look up, anywhere what identifiers are and find out a bit more about it. But what Rupert is doing with the hashtags is there's just some explanatory notes. That bit isn't coding. What was above it was coding, and what's coming now is coding, but that was just some notes.
Yes. Yeah, so let me give you the valid identifiers. So what can be valid identifiers as? Hello can be a valid identifier. So it can be used to create, it can be used as a variable name. If I use hello equal to 45, okay. So this can be used. So this is a variable, and I have assigned this variable the value of 45. Okay, so how do I know that this is the valid identifier that I have created? So let's check that out. So if I keep this hello dot and keep it under the single quotes as this is a string value, then is identifier. And if you run this code, it will show you as true. Okay, so because this is a valid identifier. Okay, so now is everybody on the same page? Okay.
Can I just
So
mention,
now-
in the chat, Arpit, I know you're trying to be helpful, but it's not going to help if you keep explaining things. It's like running two courses in parallel. So the chat is for people who have questions. Can we just stick with Rupa? But I do appreciate the help you're offering.
Yes, so I'm going to ask you, can you create 3 valid identifiers and check that what is the result? So please type in by using this, results, for using these rules that I have created, that we have. So can you create new identifiers and type in the chat window, and also see if this is giving you true or false?
So
Let me ask.
type your chat identifier that you think you've got in the, your identifier in the chat. And then I think maybe Rupa can try it out and see if it works.
Okay, so can you tell me that if this is the valid identifier or not? So I've written it as 9 hello underscore. So please type in the chat window that if this is a valid identifier. What do you think, that is it a valid identifier?
So Miroslav
Okay.
says not valid.
Amazing.
Yeah, lots of not
Okay,
valids.
awesome. Great. So it's amazing, Miroslav, and then Zico, Carinder, Daniel. Amazing. That's really nice. Great guys. So I'm happy that you're able to understand this. So can you tell me that why it is not a valid identifier? Any idea why it is not a valid identifier? Starts with number. Awesome. Great. Great, Sirisha, Miroslav, okay, Carinders, amazing, great. Amazing, great. So now we understand that. Also, one more point that I missed is that all of these special characters, it cannot contain these special characters. Cannot have special characters. Okay. So this is how we create identifiers. So now let's do some more coding, and let's create a variable name as A, and we are assigning it as value equal to 10. So let's see what are different data types in Python we have. So we have different data types as integer, we have string, we have float, and complex, and then we have list and tuples. So what do you think? A is an integer, A equal to 10. Is it an integer or a string or a float? So these are different data types, and
So Yelda says it's an integer. And
okay,
it's an integer.
amazing. So how can we find out the data type? So here we have variable name as A. So if you write down type, to find out the type of data type of a particular variable, type A, and then run this piece of code. Okay, I'm so sorry here. Okay, here because I did not run this, and that's why I got an error. Okay.
Okay, so just so we're clear, when something goes wrong, Rupa, you're going to get some kind of error message like we often get in our lives.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So since I did not run this piece of code, so Python did not understand, Python could not recognize it, and I got the error. All right. So a equal to 10 I define, and then I try to find out what is the data type of variable A, and this gives me the integer. All right. So let's find out. So if I have another variable called B and I give 10.5, can you find out the data type of variable B and write in the chat window? Okay, amazing. Okay, you guys are very fast and fast learners. Amazing. Thanks, Karthik, Sarisha, Tejra. Okay, cool. Great.
Or can you message me like the name because here like a focus on the first one. Cool.
Karinda, could you please type your doubt? Please type in your doubt.
Whatever your question is, please use the chat, Corinda, so it's easier to understand.
Yes. So let me show you how we do this. It's very simple. The way we find out the data type for A, similarly, we can find out the data type for B. Okay, great. Amazing. So now we get it as float. So now if you want to convert one data type to, sorry. Okay, so now if you want to convert one data type to another data type, how we can do that? Okay, so now we have B equal to 10.5 or maybe A equal to 10, and I want to convert this to a float value. So float of A, and just run this piece of code, and this gives me as 10.0. So what is float? It is a decimal value. Okay, so this is a decimal value, and so when you are converting an integer to float, so just type in float of A and this will give you as 10.0. Okay, so now if I want to convert this to a string value, so what is the difference between string and an integer? Can anybody type in the chat window? How do you identify a string and or an integer?
Arctic
Okay.
says anything within quotes.
Amazing, great. So anything which is in quotes. So now if I want to convert this integer value A to string, so I just type in str, which is denoted as str, and then I give it as A, and then shift enter. So I get it as 10, which is in the integer format. All right. So now let's try to, okay. So can we?
I think that what's a little bit difficult for some people is, before you show us anything else, is the obvious question about why would we need to do these things? Can you give a real life example? You've mentioned integers and you've mentioned identifiers and float and so on. What would be a real life example? We asked before, people are from retail, people are from gaming. When does this become relevant?
Okay, so if you want to convert, so as a data science, okay, data scientist, you have a list of all these values, and so some certain values are in the form of, in one column, maybe all the values are integer format, or maybe if it is integer format or float value. So we want to convert all these value to a uniform, to a uniform pattern. So for doing that, we use these type conversions. So that it is easy to analyze those data. Okay. So that it will be easy for us to analyze these data, and that's the reason to maintain the uniformity of the data or the values. Okay.
We just wanted some clarity in the chat around double quotes or single quotes.
Could you say string?
Let's just do the first one first. Is there any difference between double quotes or single?
No, it can be string can be written as within single quotes or double quotes. So it is always identified as a string. So either it can be within single quotes or double quotes. So let's see if we have, let's see, hello plus hello. If you want to type, can you add these two strings? What do you think, guys? Can you add these two strings? Can you please perform this piece of code in your systems and tell me the answer? What is the result of this piece of code? Okay. Okay, great. And Aline, amazing. So yes, because these are the strings, and if you're using the plus sign, yes, if you're using the plus sign for the strings, it converts, it is used as a concatenation, because definitely we cannot add two strings. But if we are using, if we use this string value and an integer, we are going to get an error. So, okay. So this is the error that we get, that can only concatenate string and not integer, string to string and not string to an integer. Okay.
So what does what does concatenate mean? Never heard of it.
It just combines these two values.
Okay.
It doesn't add, it just combines, it extends. Okay. So let's check that out. Hello plus. Okay, so how do we use? Okay, do you think that this is going to give the error, or is it going to give us the right output? What is the output that we are going to get? Can you please type in the chat window? Okay, Karthik, Teja, awesome. Okay, you are getting error. Miroslav, maybe you are using, you're not using 10 within single quotes. Okay, Ashish gets it right.
It seems like with any programming, you only need to get one tiny thing wrong and you'll get that error message.
Exactly. So since this 10 we are using within single quote, so it becomes a string. And now if we run this piece of code, it concatenates. All right. So this is how we use plus operators for string. And let's see how we use plus operators for numericals. So, okay. So let me show you. Let me share my screen once again. So we know here we have learned how to create identifiers, and we know how to create variables. We saw data types, and we also learned how to convert one data type to another. And now let's check these operators. And so these are different operators we have. We have plus, minus. These are arithmetic operators that Python uses. Plus, minus, equal to, greater than, and less than sign. So let's work with arithmetic operators. All right. So now, how many of you are finding Python easy? And if you're finding Python easy, please type in the chat window easy. And if you're finding it tough, so please type in the chat window stuff.
This is helpful feedback for us, obviously, to know whether we're confusing everybody. So can we get easy or tough, just as a simple measure from everybody here on this call? We've got easy but need practice.
Amazing.
We've got some toughs.
Great. Okay, and what about others? Okay, amazing. Great.
For me, one of the
Great.
places I think there might be with tough, Rupa, is I think everybody understood the first bit. And then when you started to mention identifier and you typed is identifier or something, I think that's where I became lost. So in terms of feedback, and the other one, the question about could you apply this to a real example? That's how kids learn as well. Otherwise, it's a bit abstract. So people want to practice for sure, but just answer my kind of naive question. Why would I want to convert one thing to another? Just give me a really specific example. Not, you know, why would I want to do that? If I was running a business, maybe, or writing a program, on what context do I want to convert something? How is that helpful to me?
Okay, just a simple example that Python, when you are working, analyzing data, so Python works, computers understand the numerics and not the characters, not the string. So most of the time we convert these strings to integers. Okay, so this is one way to convert. That's why we use conversion, type conversion. And well, there are it's quite complex when we are working for as a data analyst. So there are a lot of things that we work on, and it will get too complicated and people will be getting more confused. So if we get into that details, so
yeah,
just keep it for practice, because all these examples you can get through Google or if it's internet, but what you will not get is a hands-on practice. So we are not getting into too much. So
just in terms of looking ahead in terms of an application, if, for example, I was asking my customers, what did you think of my hotel? And people just reminding people to mute.
Can I try to answer that, Paul? Sorry for interrupting you. Can I try to answer that question?
Can I just, yeah, let me just ask it first.
Yeah.
So the question was, so people are answering a questionnaire that says, what do you think of this hotel? Some people are saying terrible, hate it. Other people are saying it's wonderful. That's really hard to analyze, but if I could convert those into a number, then I can analyze the numbers.
yes, so it can be converted into 0, 1, 2, 3, or maybe the ratings or the feedbacks of the customer, which can be if they say that good or bad or excellent. So that can be converted into like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be easy to, trace and.
Yeah. And just to one, so I'll come to you, Sarisha. So it could also be that if, for example, I say I hated it and someone else said it was terrible and someone else said worst hotel, if I could convert all of those into the same integer, then in a way it's kind of interpreting the language into something that can be analyzed. Sorry, was that correct or not correct?
Okay, are you asking to Sirisha?
No, I was asking you Rupa, and then we'll bring Sarisha in. I just wanted to clarify my question that what's powerful about this conversion is, for example, we can ask people to put text in somewhere, but we can convert that to analyzable number.
Okay, so for example, we have, when we get the list of all the data, and mostly we have structured and unstructured data, and sometimes incorrect data also. And suppose we get the number of students as 10.5, which is not the right representation of number of students. So 10.5 is a float value, and if you convert this to integer, it comes as a 10. So that is the correct data that we get. And so these are some of the real-time examples. And then as we talked about feedbacks, so when you have movie rating or a product rating, or maybe your appraisals, employee appraisals, so all these are into strings or categorical values, which are needed to be converted into numerical values in order for the program to perform.
That's really helpful. And all these create lots of different possibilities. Sarisha, did you want to add to that?
Yeah. So am I audible?
You are.
Yeah, thank you. So see, basically the string stores all the alphabets along with your special characters. And when you have to see, for your question about the hotel, we need to store those values, the views that are given by your customers before we analyze it. For storing, we are using variables, and the variable type, which is the data type, is string. Okay, string will have all the alphabets or the special characters along with the spaces. So here we are learning about the strings, so that we are storing all the all the reactions of whatever data that is getting into the system. And if it is a rating which is in numerals, it could be from 0 to, I mean, integer can hold more around plus or minus around 2 million values. So all those values will be, if it is a number, then it will be stored as an integer. So the processing will be based on that integer.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sirisha. That's awesome. Amazing. So, okay, so let's start with arithmetic operators, and we'll do some more coding before we end this session today. Okay, so we have here arithmetic operators. And what are different types of operators that we have? Plus, minus, that is subtraction, and plus is used for addition of two numbers. It can be integer or float value. Okay, and then we have this division operators, and then we have this called as modulus operator. Please let me know if you are able to follow along. Okay. Okay, and then we have this floor division operator. Okay, so these are the different arithmetic operators that we are going to work on, and let's see how. Okay, great. So plus operators, we all understand this plus operators, addition, and we can easily if you want to add two numbers or two integers or float values, you can easily do that in Python. And so if you want to add these two numbers, just use this plus operators and run this piece of code, and you get this answer as 143. Okay, so can you add one integer and one float value And please type in the chat window and give me your piece of code, what you are trying to work on. Please take one integer value and one float value. One integer plus float. Are you able to run this? Okay, so let's see 10 plus maybe 10.5. And if I run this piece of code, we get that as 20.5. So we do not need to use type conversion over here. We can simply, add these two numbers. All right. So now let's see. So if we want to get the input from the users, so what we can do, let's create a variable called A, and I'm giving the variable as A, and I want to write down, I want to ask from the user, like the input variable. Okay, so integer and then input. Okay. Enter the number. Okay, so here you can ask the user to input their number of their own choice, and instead of directly asking 10 or 20, so you can keep changing these numbers. So let this piece of code run. And why we are writing it as int over here, because it is an integer. We are giving an integer value. Okay, so if I write down as 10 or maybe 20 and type in A and find out what is A, we get the answer as 20. So similarly, we are going to add these two numbers, and by asking from the user what are the numbers that they are giving. Okay, so let's start all over again. So here I give x equal to integer, and within parentheses or round brackets, and then write down input. Again, take the round brackets, and within double quotes or single quotes, just write down, enter the number or anything which you want to write down. And since this is enter the number, which is a string value, it shows in the it displays in the output. All right, so here we have x, and we do shift enter, and we take the number as maybe 45. And then we are taking another number as y equal to int in the integer format, input, and then again enter another number. Okay, and then shift enter, and maybe 40, and then shift enter. And now if you want to find out what is x plus y, and shift enter, this gives you the result as 85. So this is how you can ask the user to enter the number instead of directly giving 45 plus 40 or 10 plus 20 or any other numbers. Okay, so if that is clear, till now, are we good to go?
I'm just trying to obviously make this as real as possible, Rupert, because obviously when we teach beginners, you know, you wouldn't say to a child, here is a number 6, here is a number 7, add them up. You might say, I have 6 apples and I have 6 pears. How many fruit do I have in my basket? And then they learn. So you've created this input. So this could be a customer, and you're inviting the customer to give you some information which somehow you would need to add up or do a mathematical calculation. So if, for example, enter the number was the amount I paid on my electricity bill, and the second one was the amount I paid on my gas bill. At the moment,
Yes.
we're looking to find out their total bills, you know, because they need to budget better. And this was going to be an app for budgeting. This is really helpful because it allows the user to put 2 numbers in and I can return a total.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Exactly, Paul. Yeah, great. So yes, maybe for every month, if you write down that what is the electricity bill for this month, for the current month, and you write down this value, and you add up all the months, maybe 12 months values of electricity bill, and you get the results. So this is the real-time example, and thank you, Paul, for sharing
Thank you.
your insight. Great. So, okay, awesome. So now, since we have used plus operator, and similarly, we can use the subtraction operator. Subtraction operator, and it's quite simple. Just 70 minus 45, and if you shift enter, we get as 25. So you can use it for any other value. So can you do the subtraction for 2 float values? Okay, amazing. Please write down your results, and maybe you can just 39.67 minus 4.5. And so this is how you can subtract these 2 float values. Okay, so now why do we use division operators? So division operators this is how we write down a division operator. Okay, and you can divide 2 operands like 56 divided by 4, and this gives you the output in the form of float values. Okay, so we have this as 40.0. So 56 is divided by the operand 4. Okay, so this is how we use division operator. And now if we want to multiply 2 numbers, we can use this star sign. This is used for multiplication. We want to multiply it by 3 and shift enter. So we get the result. So we can see that how easy it is to work with Python, right?
We have a question in the chat. Will a division always give a float value?
Yes, division always gives a float value.
Thank you.
Division always gives a float value.
Now, just keep an eye on time. We're into the last 8 minutes, Rupert,
Okay.
just you know where we need to pause before the next workshop.
Sure. So we are just going to finish this, and then we'll meet tomorrow. Okay, so 4 and then 2 multiplication operators and 2. What do you think the result would be? Why do we use 2 multiplication operators over here? What is this used for? Any idea? Okay. Yes, this is for exponential, and that means 4 power 2, that is 4 into 4, and we get it as 16. Okay, so let's see how do we use modulus operator. And for this modulus operator, we have 45 modulus 2. And if you write and shift enter, if you run this piece of code, we get it as 1. So what is 1? Can anybody tell me that? Why do we get the result as 1? Okay, Tejra. Okay, and what about others? Please let me know if you're able to, follow along, or you're getting confused, or not understanding, or you're lost, or if everything is fine. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, great. Miss Ovla, amazing.
So, and just to mention, as we head towards the close of workshop 1, is you please do click on the link, which I've just put in the chat again. That's our study group just for this course. And so if you've got questions that you don't understand the answer, of course, you can watch the recording again, which we'll share on there, but also post questions there, things you're confused about, because we can pick those up before tomorrow. And it's really okay to take a step back to go 2 steps forward. So, this is a kind of first dip in the world of an interesting and useful language. And I think you're really explaining it well, Rupa, and it's difficult for everybody in any room to understand everything. The point is, just so I'm clear, is at the moment you're showing us some of the basic foundation stones of this language, and you're not showing it all, you're giving us a few examples. You've shown us that Python can make calculations and that it can also convert numbers. In the way I took it as it can convert inconvenient things into more analyzable, convenient things. And for example, if you ask somebody to input their date of birth, and I tell you it's the 13th of April, 1966, and that means I'm 55.623 years old. Actually, when you're maybe in an app, you just want to say you're 55, we would convert that to make it more analyzable. And so we can convert one data type into another. You've also shown us that we can have different rules, and you've just shown us a few that enable things to happen as well. And you showed us at the end, it's possible not only to do something from us outwards, but you can invite input from somebody else. And based on what they input, that can make other things happen in this language.
Right. That's right, Paul. Thank you for your summarization. Thanks a lot. So, okay, so coming back to this answer, so this is a remainder. Modulus operator gives us the remainder. So since we divide 45 by 2 and we get the remainder as 1. Okay, so can you tell me what would be the result here? 60 modulus 3. Okay, amazing. Great. So great, guys. So now we have another one as floor division operators. So the last one, that is the floor division operator. Okay. So if we do floor division, sorry, this is going to show an error because I did not comment it. Okay. All right. So now if I do 25 and this 3, so let's see what we get. We get as 8, which is the integer part of the, once you divide, you integer part of the quotient. So here floor division operator always gives you the integer value once you divide 25 divided by 3 and you get some 8 point something. So for example, the difference between division and floor division operator is. As you can see, here we have the float value. We get the float value as 8.33, this big number. But with the floor division operator, you just get the integer value and it ignores all these numbers after the decimal point. So this is the difference. And so I hope you enjoyed. Okay, only integer value. Yes, yes. Okay, so I hope this is clear till now. And for tomorrow's session, please do register, and we are going to learn a lot. We are going to do learn about lists, tuples. We'll also learn indexing, slicing, which are very important concepts. We'll do logical operators and operators or operators and comparison operators, which are very important. And you're going to learn a lot. Today was a basic beginners Python class. So we just covered all these basic steps. So tomorrow is going to be more exciting. So don't forget to join in tomorrow. And I hope you guys are.
Yeah, and as I say, thank you to Rupa. So we finish on time. Although I think I'll stick around for a few minutes afterwards if Rupa's free, just to say goodbye. But yeah, we're back tomorrow, which is part 2. And then we have a third one, I believe.
No, we just have tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, we have tomorrow, and then I'm getting confused. So and then what we also have is an intermediate course, but that doesn't follow directly from this course. We're not saying at the end of 2 beginners workshops you're intermediate. What we're saying is for people who feel they're at intermediate level, they might want to join us at that level. But we are repeating these workshops as well, so there's an opportunity for you to learn again, and there's an opportunity for you at the end of the course, as Rupa is kindly offering, and she'll say more about that at the end, to continue your learning a little bit through the resources that are offered by Rupa and her organization. But what I would like to recommend, so people are saying they think tomorrow is intermediate. Do you just want to clarify that, Rupa? Tomorrow is more of the beginner's course, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow it's like quite an intermediate, because we're going to learn more about lists, tuples, sets, and it's going to be very interesting. We'll learn more concepts. So important concepts about it.
Yeah, but this is for the beginners here today to do more tomorrow, yeah?
Yes, of course.
The intermediate course that is also advertised.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So could you please share the link once again, Paul, because some of them have missed that.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, there's the LinkedIn group. Please, if any of you are a bit confused, and if you have any questions about am I on the right workshop, that's all. We can answer your questions directly on the LinkedIn group afterwards as well, to make sure there's no confusion. But this is the end of this part, and this continues tomorrow. Where we go further into it. But we will also look on that group, and if there are things people didn't understand from today, we'll go over them again just to make sure that everybody is understanding before we take the next steps. So thanks to everybody. Thank you to Rupa, and we look forward to seeing you all at the next workshop, and bye for now. Richard, you just arrived.
Yeah, echoing those thanks. Let me turn this up a little.
So I would just like to ask you now, how many of you are getting confident about Python?
Is anyone more confident? Can you say yes in the chat if you feel more confident? Say yes.
And if you're finding it interesting and you can learn Python now, amazing. Great.
Yeses, but it's okay to say no as well, really. Doesn't make you a difficult person. But thank you. Thank you. Richard, there was just some confusion. I think you can probably just clear it up about the difference between the beginners workshops and when they're happening and the intermediate ones. Can we just clarify that now?
Yeah, and Rupa can jump in on this, but so we wanted to be very, very clear. So today, you can come along if you've never coded before in anything. So that was the idea. And if people know a little bit, then hey, that's all right. We'll move together. So tomorrow we wanted to run the next step up on that. So that's people who've been playing around with Python, just maybe having some fun with it, or people that code in a different language, right? I mean, maybe we've got some C++ or .NET enthusiasts who would like to delve a little deeper into Python. So I think, you know, come along tomorrow by all means if you really feel that you're growing and you want to be challenged a little bit, or if today was a little bit easy for you, definitely come tomorrow. We've shared the link for tomorrow's session, have we?
Yes, we
Yes.
have.
Great.
Just
Otherwise,
share that
yeah.
again right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, pop it in again. So, I mean, come
Will
along. And
do.
you know what? If it's not for you, drop out after 10, 15 minutes, right? I mean, you know, everybody's welcome to these things. But if today's more your kind of level and you've really got into it and you look forward to kind of continue where we left off today, recapping a little bit, then obviously come along this time in February and then in March as well. Use the study group that we've created on LinkedIn. I see lots of you have joined. That's great. To ask questions, comment, just have some fun if you want. Does that cover it, do you think, Paul, Rupa?
Yes, and also what I would like to suggest is please do attend tomorrow's workshop because it's very important. We are going to learn much more concepts, important concepts, and since it was and since all of we all learned some new skills, like the first time we learned driving or maybe cycling or swimming. So first time it's, you know, difficult. We might fail sometimes or we might fall sometimes. So this is the same with any learning any skill set. So since today, some of you might have, you know, found some challenges, but, you know, just stay on it and keep learning. And tomorrow we will learn more about you know, important concepts, as well as we have great offers for you. We are going to give you participation certificate from MKAI and AI Beehive, as well as if you are attending tomorrow's session, you will get 4